Welcome back, guys, to another video with the RS3 that I rebuilt. Now, it has been a while since I've last uploaded. I've been caught up with uni work, so I've just been trying to grind through it as well as just life in general. But I'm back now. I finally managed to get some time, and today we're probably going to do the most important video yet. We're going to do a full cost breakdown of the RS3 to see whether it was actually worth buying a salvage car and rebuilding it. So if you couldn't guess from the title or the thumbnail, in this video I'm going to be giving you a full breakdown of exactly how much it costs to rebuild this RS3. I'm going to show you guys every step of the journey and exactly how much they each cost. Now, I understand every car won't be the same, but I'm hoping this gives you a good indication of what you guys could expect if any of you decide to buy a salvage car. So, apart from the car being in desperate need of a wash, the car hasn't always looked this good. So, let's get straight into it and start from the beginning. I came across this Audi RS3. It was quite damaged, but it was only a category N, which was a bit of relief knowing I didn't have to do anything structural as this was the first build. And the damage didn't look too bad. Looking online for parts, I set myself a budget of £15,000. I did end up bidding slightly over, but I guess that's how auctions go. Now, Copart does have a lot of fees after the auction, and including the fees, the final price came to £16,713. So now that I had paid for the car, it was time to go and collect it, as well as address the elephant in the room. I actually bought the car having just seen the pictures, so going to collect it was a bit nerve-wracking, and I ended up paying £150 for recovery. When seeing the car for the first time, I noticed the underside was covered in oil, which wasn't mentioned, and I started having doubts. But in the end, I trusted my gut and took the car anyway. So, the first thing I had to worry about was the front end damage. As you guys saw, the bumper was completely smashed, so was the grille, so was the radiator. Everything was just completely folded in from down the middle. So I was searching online for parts and I managed to find someone selling a front end on Facebook Marketplace. I negotiated and managed to get him to split it and only sell me the parts I need. I ended up taking the bonnet, complete radiator pack and slam panel, as well as the front bumper, and I picked it all up for £1,900. After changing over the radiators, I wanted to get the car started, and since the airbags went off in the crash, I knew I had to change the pyro fuse, and I just bought one brand new for £15 and installed it. The oil leak which worried me turned out to just be a cracked oil filter housing, which was a huge relief as this was much cheaper than needing a new engine. I picked one up off eBay for £200. So after having dealt with the radiator packs, I was further and further into the money pit, and at this point there was no going back. Next step, I was left with the airbags on the interior. Now, this was arguably the hardest part of the build so far. While it wasn't challenging in a conventional sense, it was the fact that we had to work with such a limited space that just made the job so tedious. But in the end, we managed to get everything put back in while having no screws left over. Taking out the dashboard wasn't really too difficult. Everything on the dash was basically just clipped and just had to stick in a tool and remove it. And the dash itself just had screws, and after that you could just pull it out. Another thing we noticed when we took delivery of the car was actually one of the seatbelts had locked up, which we did expect, obviously, since the airbags went off. We expected to change the front seatbelts. However, it was only this one that was locked up, and when we opened it up to change it, it just re-released itself, and now it's fully functional again. The final thing we had left from the interior was actually both the curtain airbags had deployed, so we had to get them changed as well. I found these two curtain airbags also from eBay. These airbags run from the front of the car all the way to the back of the car, and they were a lot easier to install than the dash. Now, all in, the whole interior ended up costing me £680. After changing the pyro fuse, the car still didn't start, and so I thought it was the power distribution box. I picked one up for £15 and changed it. It turned out that still wasn't the problem, and we ended up calling a professional for help. He came with his diagnostics, and after about 10 minutes of doing his magic and £260 later, he found the problem, which was a ghost immobilizer, and he removed it, and the car started perfectly every time. A couple of costs which can add up and that there's no way of knowing is stuff such as the brake pads and the tires. As you guys saw in the previous videos, one of the tires was actually punctured and needed replacing. As all the other tires have Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's on them, we had to finish it off and get it replaced that one with the same tire, which cost us about £100. As for the front brake pads, we called up TPS and they quoted us £520 for new front brake pads. So we checked Euro car parts and we managed to find front brake pads for £200, which is a no-brainer compared to the £520. Now that the interior and the startup was sorted, it was time to move on to the front bumper. The bumper I got from Facebook ended up being unusable as all the brackets were broken, so I had to get my old bumper repaired. In the end, the front bumper actually turned out really good. You never would have known it was cracked. However, one thing you can notice is the paint is slightly off, but that is kind of to be expected as you will never perfectly match the paint. In most lightings, it's not really noticeable, but if you really look closely, you can notice it. So all in, the bonnet painting, the bumper painting, as well as the repair ended up costing us £400. So after a couple weeks of working on it, parts, paint, and little fixes here and there, the total cost to get this thing back on the road came to £20,633. And based on current prices, I could sell it for around £24,000. That leaves me with a profit of roughly £3,400. So not huge, but not awful either. When I bought the car, I knew it was a salvage, so I expected a few hidden issues. But honestly, I didn't expect this. Stuff like the tires, the brake pads, and the oil filter housing really took me by surprise and cost quite a bit more than I thought it would. So yeah, take these into account when trying to find your bid limit. Let's be real for a minute. With the profit I made, I have to ask myself, would it have been smarter to buy a different car? Probably. There's a lot of cars out there which would have needed way less work and would have brought in similar profit without the stress. So, the salvage route can be worth it, but only if the deal is good and nothing unexpected pops up. When you look at the amount of time I put in compared to the profit and with the risks involved, it does start to look a bit more like a passion project rather than a business move. If you're doing this completely on your own, you're basically putting in loads of hours and a huge risk for not a lot of return. At the end of the day, to me, this was worth it. I ended up learning a lot of new things and I even managed to turn a profit. While it wasn't huge, it's still profit. And now I have loads more experience for the next one. So, would I do another one? Yes, absolutely. But only if the car and the price are right. This one felt more like something I did for the love of it rather than the money. But honestly, I'm still really happy with how things have turned out. And to be fair, after putting in that much work and hours into the car, I'm loving it too much. So when it comes to selling it, I don't know how I'm going to be able to let go of it. Because the thing with salvage cars is when you rebuild a car and put in that much work into it, you end up getting really attached to the car. There's something about bringing a wrecked car back to life which makes it feel special. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what car you want to see on the channel next or what other content you want to see on the RS3. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.